Hey team, so we're on to our last part of this basketball assignment. So you've done your first three. We're on to task 4 now, and this is designing a drill. It's related to task 3 because you'll be somewhat selecting your weakness depending on what you chose. Just before we do start, we've decided for task 1 there was 3 aspects. There was the social side, the physiological side, and the psychological side, and you had to complete all 3. We have now decided we're just going to focus on those 2, which are social and physiological. You will not need to do psychological. So we're just understanding the situation at the moment. It's a bit different from being in class and us providing you information. So we are slightly reducing your workload. Still be worth 5%, that section, and many of you have sent it all in to us. We're marking it currently. They've just reduced that load on you. So hope you appreciate that. It will mean that you obviously will be expecting high marks and a high level of detail for task 4. So I'm just going to run through it today. It's really important that you listen to this. It's going to help you out and your understanding. Of course, at any stage, do email your teacher and they can provide you with some more understanding, but be proactive with that because, again, we're 5% of your total mark for this year. It's going to be due at 5 p.m. this Thursday. You're going to have a number of periods this week to complete that work. Make sure you break it into parts, or we can do it all at once. It's up to you. You have the freedom. Don't leave it to the last minute because there is quite a bit of understanding work here. It's not easy as cutting and pasting any work. And know that we are checking that side of things between your assignments. You'll be putting it through and it just double checks between other assignments. You haven't copied someone else's work from previous years or this year's, and then also on the internet. So you are to select a weakness. Must be a skill and plan at least 2 drills to describe how you would improve this weakness in a 40-minute training session. So if we had a period at school, you are to select a weakness and then 2 drills and describe how that will improve it. That's the essence of what we're going to do for this part. I have down below how you're going to do that and the aspects that you have to think about to get that 5 out of 5. Explain why you have selected these types of practice above to help you improve in relation to your level of ability. So to break that down further, these are the elements you have to think about. Again, I'll describe them below. Open and close skills, mass practice, distributed, problem-solving, decision-making, practice, and to help answer the questions. Again, we've just used different words for this when you've been covering it last week. Key points to consider and include are, you must include and explain what stage of learning you're at. So there's 3 stages of learning that we've covered. What one are you at and why? And this will really dictate what drills you're going to do. So you just can't go to the internet and pick off willy-nilly what drill you want to do because it could be made for an NBA player. It could be someone in the top Prem basketball team here at school that would hit their level. Not for many of you who are at possibly the lower level or lower stage of learning. So it will down, you need to create a clear diagram of the drill that you're going to do. You can do some research, of course, around that to give you ideas, but you've got to sort of personalize it and design it for yourself. So there's the first part. Identify your stage of learning. Why are you at that stage of learning? You'll need to go back to your notes or do some research, okay, and think about the drills. That's the first part. So you have to think about all these before you design specifically what drill you're going to do. What is your skill? Is it an open skill? Is it closed in a game situation? Is it a discrete or complex skill? So look at those skill classifications that we covered. What is it? And describe that. I'll show you a diagram shortly of a whole assignment, blacked out, but what it kind of looks like. What type of practice are you going to implement? So we've just been going over different types of practice that a coach could use to design a drill. So are you going to use a mixture or predominantly one type? And you must explain why you've chosen that type of practice. So some examples are massed or distributed practice, whole or part, or as we said, the whole part, combination of them, variable or drill. You can also talk about visualization and other aspects out there that you want to maybe implement between your training sessions for distributed if you want. Linked to types of feedback and guidance. So think about that verbal. Is your coach going to give you feedback or a teammate, another student? Is someone going to film it and give you feedback and guidance on what you need to do? Are you going to have say an NBA player performing that skill, an expert that's broken it down into parts, part learning, and then you're trying to do that skill, looking at it on your phone. Cool, that's how he does it. Right, I'll implement it. I'll shadow it in essence, what he's done, copy it. Cool, go again. Then someone might film me, right, giving me some immediate feedback. I'm jumping off the wrong foot. Try again and again. And dictate why, and link it again to your stage of learning. We've covered this, and this is why this task involves implementing some of the information, that higher level thinking from what we've covered in the previous weeks. Your drills, as I said, need to be clear, description and diagrams, so broken down. You've got to create your own. You just can't go and copy stuff. So I will have to see a little bit of technical wizardry on the Word document or whatever you're using. So an example we've got here, and I've blacked out it so you can't go and copy someone's work. This is the sort of detail we're going into. They've gone through, and their skill that they've chosen to cover is, or their weakness, sorry, let's go up, is shooting. Again, you can be specific on what shooting, because there's different aspects of it. I think they've gone for 3-point shooting here. And this player, as we go through, is more at the associative level, so that middle stage. Again, there's a spectrum within that. We've just grouped them into 3 learning stages. Within that, there can be a boundary associative. You could be down towards the cognitive side, or the autonomous up the top. So he's gone down. He's signaled that this is his weakness. You can use a tactic if you want, but it predominantly will be a lot easier if you've chosen a skill, such as a 3-point free throw, which will be more closed, a 3-point shot outside the line, mid-court could be dribbling. Try to make it complex on what you're trying to identify, what you're trying to do with it, or it could be a layup. So he's gone through his number 1 drill he's got here. He's gone through 1, 2, 3. You can sort of see down here what he's doing, breaking it down and describing what the drill is. And then he's got a diagram. So you've got to include a diagram in here. And basically what he's got here, and this is a more basic one that he's breaking down, he's written in here that obviously he's going to do in distributed practice. But in essence, what he's described here is that he's going to go from outside 3.9, he's going to pass it to a teammate in here, and then during that time, he's going to run around to this point, get past the ball, and he's going to shoot from there. So more of a mid-court shot. On the right here, he's talked about why he has chosen this, and he's linked in his stage of learning. He's linked in what type of feedback and guidance he's going to have and be provided to him through there. He's described why he has this type of practice in here. That is it part learning, is it distributed? He's linked to a stage of learning as described. So that's what we're looking at in each of those stages. So he described, it might be effective warm-up, this one here. He's linked it to a stage of learning, being associative, and he stated why, to create sort of efficient and accurate, to increase his confidence, to make sure he's focusing on getting that success rate and that muscle memory as he goes through that. He's likely going on that he's describing that it's whole learning, and the reason why he would do distributed practice. Remember, that's those rests that we're going to have. Why is that beneficial compared to massed? So compare the two. Why have you chosen one over the other? And again, link it back to your stage of learning. The drill was effective because of this reason. I'm going to use this type of feedback. I'm going to use visual, verbal, mechanical. State why. Why have you chosen that over the other option? You can relate to your own previous experiences and what's worked for you as well. And what type of feedback are you going to get? Are you going to get internally, externally, from success of getting it in, kinesthetic, the feeling of it, and so on, each part. Again, you can make this have stages and scaffolding. So you could make stage 1 of this is going to be this, and then stage 2 and 3 and 4. Make it slightly difficult. Don't have any more than, say, 3 stages of difficulty within there, because you are, in essence, designing 2 completely different drills. But within it, you can have some adaptations that make it harder or modify it throughout. Then we're going to pop down. So excellent diagram we've got here. And then he's focused on his next drill. And he's focused on the problem-solving advanced. Maybe it's a little bit more difficult as you go through it. You can see here on the right, he's gone through and he's broken down how this skill is run. In essence, pass the ball. He's got a defender there. Obviously, a little bit more of an open skill. and a bit of pressure on. So again, linked into that problem solving, he's stated it above. He has a decision to pass it left to right to his team members, which these guys here, and he has to move to one of these other slots and shoot. While under pressure, he's got to make decisions. So think about why, and he's dictated in here why he's done that type of skill. And then lastly, he's gone through in a little bit more detail how he received feedback and guidance on his performance, and also include factors affecting his learning. Is it the type of surface you're using, any balls and hoops that you have to do as well. Do state in here how long each one will go for. Is it going to be a 10-minute workout? Is it going to be 20, 30 minutes? How is it going to be broken down into each aspect? That's sort of the layout. So we're only expecting, say, 2.5 pages. Depends on how much of this diagram is yours as you go through it. So lastly, just to cover these main points, again, you can listen to this, break it down, contact your teachers if you have any questions. Again, it's going to involve you implementing the knowledge you've been taught. So it's that bit at a higher level. You will possibly find it a little bit difficult. You just got to persist, do your own research. Those key points are to include and make sure you've got all these implemented in there, and compare between why you've chosen something over the other as we go through each part. And create your own. Just don't go and copy something else. Put it into your own words because it's got to be personalised for you. You just can't copy work off the internet. Do reference possibly where you got it from if that's the case. And remember, it is a 40-minute training session, so it's a reduced amount of time. How can you get the most out of it? Think if you had all the resources possible. Think if you were going to do this at school, what do you have there to use? Visualize what you want to put in there and use all those little things. So how are you going to increase possibly that you can include those aspects on arousal levels. How would you get yourself into that zone of thinking it's a game situation where there's pressure, or reducing that pressure to perform that skill in a way that you aren't stressed when you're making mistakes as we go through each part. So it is key that you really look over our notes from the last sort of week and a half and include those aspects in here. And it's great prep also for our exams at the end of the year. Any questions, do ask your teachers. Thanks, gents.